guys, how you doing? It's Jay here, and I've got a quick update to you and a little bit of an oopsie as well. So I want to keep this as brief as possible. Don't want to take up too much of your time. Let's get right into it. Okay, so over the weekend, I had a bit of a learning experience because, as you may have noticed, I posted an episode of Resident Evil 2 very early on Saturday, 9 o'clock in the morning, around that, or maybe a little bit later. The reasoning behind that was because I had to go away for the weekend, and I was under the assumption that I was going to be back by 11 o'clock or 12 o'clock at midday on Sunday at the latest. That wasn't the case, and I wound up being over 7 hours late getting back. Had a great weekend, not going to complain, but unfortunately for the channel, I was unable to then get another Resident Evil episode made because I had stuff to take care of when I got back home as well. And I'll have a couple of more weekends like that coming up over the course of the year, so they won't be often, but when they do come up, I'll let you know in advance. And while I love being optimistic, after this weekend I'm going to have to be a bit more realistic and know if I'm going away on a weekend that it'll probably just be a video really early on the Saturday and then probably nothing on the Sunday. I know the YouTube algorithms hate it, and even I don't like inconsistent uploading myself, but that's just the way things are. Got to keep plugging along with Resident Evil. The game's really starting to get to me in terms of how scary it is, but I've persevered thus far, and it would be such a shame if I stopped, so I'm going to try force myself. So there's what happened with the wonky uploads over the weekend. No excuses, just an explanation as to why that happened, and it may happen again over a small number of weekends over the course of the year, but I'll let you guys know in advance. Now, onto the other big question, my oopsie, the pay-per-view review, the Royal Rumble review. Where the hell is that? Because that was supposed to be on Sunday, and it wasn't even just a case of me being 7 hours late coming back that delayed that. There was other factors as well, and this is going to hinder pretty much any attempts to review any pay-per-view as they happen, because I'm from Ireland, so I'm over in Greenwich Mean Time, so the pay-per-views are on too late at night for me to stay up and watch them, because I have to be up the next morning. And they're also, some of them are stupidly long, like this Royal Rumble was 7 hours long, God love us. But also, when I went to do the review, I don't just look at them, like, I won't just take a match, discuss the match if I like it or not, bits I like to pitch, highlights, lowlights, whatever. I like to look at the competitors as well, and kind of their short-term and long-term stories in terms of where they've been and where they're going, or where they could potentially go. And as a result of that, a lot of the information I gave out in the Royal Rumble review that I was in the middle of recording wound up being out of date practically immediately. And just three quick examples I can give you. Shinsuke Nakamura, when he won the United States Championship in the kickoff show, and I said I was really happy for him. They could use this as a soft reboot, a jumping off point to get his character back on track. He lost the title to R-Truth on Tuesday. So I'm like, okay, do I go back and record more dialogue to kind of make it, or leave even just a bloody title card up to amend that, or what? It's like, no, well, you know what, like, the point I made was true, they could have used it as a jumping off point, but that's not what happened. And then you had with the Cruiserweight match, the Fatal 4-Way, also on the kickoff show, talked about each of the competitors individually, and when it came to Hideo Itami, I mentioned how a couple of years ago, he had the opportunity to get out, but he decided to stay on the grounds that if he left after his unfortunate run, he would view himself as a failure, so he needed to stick around. I can't remember when exactly the interview was. It was like from 1.5 years, 2 years ago, and I can't even remember who it was, but I remember reading it and thinking, wow, fair play to him, and that's why he's sticking around. So, you know, that's a winner's mentality, and I hope he finds the success he's looking for, and he asks for his release. Like, it's like, as I'm recording the dialogue, the little spiel saying how proud I am of him for sticking through it, and I'm not saying, oh, well, I'm not proud of him now. Like, hey, he stuck it around for another couple of years. Don't blame him for leaving when he did, leaving now as he did, but it's just totally did this big spiel on him, and it's like, oh, sure, that's irrelevant now. And then finally, I was going to talk about how underutilized Dean Ambrose is, and it looks like he's leaving now as well. There's a debate as to whether that's a work or a shoot, but either way, I was still going, oh god, I have to go back and like add little asterisks as, oh, by the way. So it came across, it was very outdated, and the reasoning for that is obviously living in Greenwich Mean Time, and the way I go about making the reviews, a pay-per-view would happen on Sunday, and like Friday the next week would be the earliest. So looking at it now, I've decided to cancel doing any pay-per-view reviews, because I could have gotten more episodes of Resident Evil done while I was doing all that time for a review that wound up being completely outdated within like 48 hours. So it's not that I'm going to stop talking about things in wrestling. I'm going to look at certain things. I can't announce anything formally yet because I've got my new camera. I'm going to get my lighting rig up and running, and I can't even, not even going to set a time frame because I don't know if it's a couple of months from now and I haven't given any updates. I haven't forgotten. I'm working on it. I've got an idea for something that's really good, but I don't want to announce it on the off chance it doesn't pan out, and there won't be any pay-per-view reviews for the new ones. So, but there is going to be stuff coming. And lastly, I've noticed that I've gotten a bunch of new subscribers. I think 8 subscribers at the recording of this video. Thank you so much for subscribing. I really appreciate it. Here I am apologizing for making a balls of everything, but that's how part-time YouTubing tends to go for you. And I do recognize that you're subscribing off the back of the Fire Pro Wrestling World video, so it's something wrestling related, and I'm doing Resident Evil 2, which is not wrestling related. So kind of as a thank you for subscribing, I'm going to have a look at 5-star wrestling ReGenesis, and I'd kind of hope you would just wait until I get the first video of it up, which would be tomorrow, because I want it to be a surprise. I haven't even played it myself yet, but I looked at the trailer and I think we're going to have some fun ripping the piss out of it. The gaming company that made it lists themselves as like a parody company, but that probably isn't going to excuse what I'm going to be playing here tomorrow. So that'll be coming tomorrow. I hope you stick around to enjoy it. And for Fire Pro Wrestling World, there's a whole shebang that I don't want to get into with that because the season pass is €50, which is ridiculous for a season pass, and none of the content has been released from what I can find, and the season pass is listed as unavailable in my region to purchase. So I have no idea what's going on with that, and I don't want to immediately jump up and just be like, I don't even know who made the game, but are these guys, are they robbing people and running off with it? I'd want to, if I do a video addressing it, I'd want to try reach out and get in touch with people and assemble as many facts as possible before hurling out accusations. But it does look a little shady, if I'm being honest, for the asking price and its limited availability and the inability to find any sort of communication. You look, there's no news articles on it. I haven't found any mentions on Twitter. But anyway, so yeah, Fire Pro Wrestling is on hiatus until we find out what is going on with it, and we'll try 5-star wrestling ReGenesis. So that's it, a random spiel for you. I went on a couple of minutes longer than I would have liked to. Sorry about that. So yeah, more Resident Evil coming up tomorrow. 5-star wrestling ReGenesis. And keep your ears to the ground and follow me on Twitter, and hopefully in the coming weeks I'll be able to give updates as to what I'll be replacing the pay-per-view reviews with. Anyway, that's it for now. Thank you for watching, and see you tomorrow for more videos. Cheers.